Okay. Last week I finished Herbie Hancock's autobiography called Possibilities. It was released over 10 years ago, 2014. It's a really great book. I've already spoken on my socials about how obsessed with it I am, but I thought I would share some points that I wrote down, notes, and maybe it'll encourage you to read the book, which I think you should, but also I think there's a lot of lessons in there for artists as he shares his story, obviously his musical journey. Herbie has been playing since he was 7 and he's in his 80s now, so you know, he's got something to do. Who would have thought a jazz legend, a jazz pioneer would have something to teach us? Hey. I listened to it on audiobook, which I would actually recommend because Herbie Hancock is reading it. So in the beginning of the book, Herbie starts with this story when he was playing with Miles Davis. If you don't know, Herbie Hancock played in Miles' second great quintet as a pianist, obviously, and he was playing on his piano. He thought he hit a wrong note, but then Davis played a chord that made what he thought was so wrong and so off sound right. And then he goes on to say, you know, jazz is about being in the moment, trusting yourself, trusting your skills, trusting your ability to make something work, which is what Davis did. And it kind of points to something. I've said this on my socials, but I kind of had this idea that Miles Davis as a player was very strict with his band, in the sense that, like, if they did something wrong, if they did something off, he would hate it. But in the book you see, like, he's not the stern figure I thought he was. He actually has this flexibility, and it obviously makes sense for what jazz is, because jazz is so improvisational, right? I mean, this story can be applied so much into life. And we also, what I love is, like, you can see it in art as well. I think of, like, the surrealists of the 20th century who were skilled painters and, like, could do portraits and do, like, the proper thing, but they flipped it on his head and they started making surrealist art, making images look weird. And I kind of compare that to jazz. It's like, when you know all the rules, when you understand the pattern, when you understand how it works, because music is patterns, right? When you understand that, you can break it. You know, you can play with it. Maybe because I'm already talking about Miles, I'll just keep continuing about that relationship with Miles, because it's a really, really significant relationship. Herbie said that Miles wasn't one to waffle on. He gave very sort of exact advice. He didn't talk much. There was a time, and this is a kind of popular story, but there was a time in Herbie's career where he felt kind of stuck with his music, and Miles just said, don't play the butter notes. And at the time, you know, Herbie was like, what does that mean? And they really had to break down what he meant by that. What Miles meant was butter meaning fat, fat meaning excess. Miles was saying to Herbie, you're kind of playing too much, like, bring it back down, bring it back down. There's another example where Miles got Herbie to stop playing with his left hand. And obviously that's strange because Herbie's a piano player, right? You use two hands if you got them. But Herbie realized later on that Miles told him to stop playing with his left hand because Miles noticed that Herbie was relying too much on the left hand. And then one other thing about Miles. So there's a part in the book that Herbie says we, as in the Miles Quintet, had all learned from Miles himself that the secret is to keep moving forward, never to look back. Miles Davis always changed his sound. And if you look at Herbie's career and also his other bandmates, they all followed suit. Like, he had the Mwandishi band, which was more artsy or avant-garde. Then he had Headhunters, which was jazz funk, and that's how I got to know him. Then he had his electronic, you know, like the rocket era. He's constantly changing, and that is because Miles showed him how to do it, because Miles did it first. I find that so inspiring because Herbie says this in the book. It's not like people liked that. People wanted his old stuff. People wanted a certain era of him, but there were times where the changes that he made to his sound were not financially beneficial, and they gave him shit for it. He was like, and he makes it very clear in the book, I want a wider audience. I want people to like my music. I want people to listen to my music. But at the end of the day, I do this for me. I have to like what I do. And it's important for me, Herbie, to explore these other sides of myself. And I think that's really, really, honestly, probably why he's lasted so long in his career. But I think that's also something for younger musicians to note, is don't get stuck playing the same thing. And you know what? There are bands who stick to the same thing and we love it. But if you feel compelled to change your style up, do it. Do it. So obviously Miles was a big mentor, but I feel like his as in Herbie's relationship with Donald Byrd was also a significant one. Herbie played with Donald before he met Miles. And Donald was actually the one to say, you need to play with Miles. Like, basically, Miles was reaching out to Herbie and asked Herbie to play in the band. And Herbie was like, no, I'm with Donald. And Donald was like, I'll never forgive myself if you don't go play with this guy, Miles Davis. It kind of just struck me, it's like the importance of having people on your side in your journey. I found that really beautiful. And also, Herbie wouldn't have owned his publishing on his first record if it weren't for Don telling him to make sure he keeps his publishing. So he released his first recordings, was it with Blue Note? And I think it was with Blue Note. Donald said, no matter what, keep your publishing. And that's why he was able to earn money through his first record. Pursuit of music, even though you may be a singular artist, it's not a solo venture. You can't do it alone. You can't grow alone. You can't learn on your own. So there's that. You learn more about Herbie's albums, his eras, his concepts for the albums that he's done. It was really fun being able to listen to his albums back, but also music that inspired him. I've been listening to Stravinsky's Rite of Spring, Weather Report, and I got to explore Tony Williams. It turns out I think Tony Williams is probably the best drummer. I just feel like I'm nerding out, which is, that's what I like to do. I've read many music autobiographies, and Herbie's is no different in the sense that something that connects them all is this inevitability of, oh, I'm going to do music no matter what. So for example, not just in Herbie's book, but in other books, but I'll just stick to Herbie's book. There were times, especially in the beginning of his career, where he was at a crossroads, like have a stable job or do music. And in the book, like there was never a time where he was really like, oh, well, I guess I can't do music ever again. And like it's quoted, he was like, well, I have no choice. I guess I got to do music. He said that multiple times in the book. He's like, scrap that job. I'm always going to do music, and that's that. And maybe that is a bit nuts, and it probably helps to be really good at your instrument as well. But all the celebrity memoirs, rock star memoirs, musician memoirs have that same feeling. Like maybe that's delusional. Maybe it's unrealistic. Maybe their head's in the cloud, but look where they ended up. Even if you don't end up being a jazz legend supreme, a rock star, or super famous or super rich from your music, the whole idea is still keep doing the music. Like still keep doing that thing, whatever it is that fulfills you. Because if you feel compelled to do it, that means you should be doing it. And that was something that really spoke to me. A lot of creatives can take from that. This is why I love memoirs written by people over 60. They've lived enough life, and they've also had enough time to process certain events in their life that they have a more well-rounded perspective. I love music documentaries and I love music autobiographies. I love That's like my thing. I nerd out to that stuff. It's a really good opportunity to learn from the best. Like that is like knowledge for you to take in and think about. I have come off the high from reading this book. Definitely go read it. I hope it inspires you. Whether you're a musician or not, there's so much you could learn from this book. Anyway, also, yes, glasses revealed. Turns out I needed glasses. All to say, this is a really lovely book to read, listen to. So go check it out. Possibilities by Herbie Hancock.